Friday evening sessions were legendary, and people would be willing to miss the train to listen to her performance till the end, and the street would be silent, people would stop cooking, there will be absolute silence, and people would appreciate the music in silence. This awe, this kind of music worship no longer exists in the modern world. It's a thing of the past. I wish we could recreate that. My technique and style of veena playing are inherited from Sri Rangaraman Iyengar and my mother. And he was a regular visitor to Veena Dhanammal's legendary Friday evening sessions. After listening to her music for a considerable period of time, he had mastered the technique to some extent, and he dared to play on the All India Radio. And Veena Dhanammal got to know that he was playing on the radio, and she took a rickshaw from Georgetown. She came all the way to Panagal Park to listen to his playing, and she was impressed. And so she blessed his effort, and that's why it stays with us till now. The technique as well as the style is richly owing to her genius, the genius of her music. The difficult technique he imbibed from Veena Dhanammal, I illustrate it with shadowing the playing of Veena Dhanammal's rendering in the video clip that you are about to see. Every time I listen to her RPM records, I'm taken by surprise because the flow is unpredictable and it is beautiful. You cannot predict where she will go, what she will do next, but then whatever she does amazes you. Every turn of phrase, every small little detail that she plays is a marvel. That's her genius in short. What Rangaraman Iyengar wanted to do was to propagate the style, the essence of her music to the world. So he started notating kritis, and the result is Sri Kritimani Malai. And in certain pieces, for instance, his notational system tries to capture the nuances of her playing in pieces like Shankaracharyam in Shankarabharanam, Subbarama Dikshita's composition, Meena Nayana, Darbar, Shama, Subbaraya Sastri Kirtana, and a few others. A few of these compositions we have imbibed from the recordings, like for instance Sri Narada, Nenaruncinanu, Sri Raghuvara, and the Javali, Sarasamulade Dentuku that she has rendered for the 78 RPM records. First of all, we must understand she firmly believed that the veena was a chamber music instrument. It was not meant for public places. And she did not encourage people to talk or to make requests or to applaud her playing. If they made the slightest of noise, she would stop playing. And the beauty of chamber music is, for instance, it insists on careful listening from the listener's side, audience side. So her technique and her style of playing is soaked in the insistence that the audience listen to her carefully, minutely, line by line. I will talk about different renderings, types of renderings that she has done through the recordings, from what I know, what I've heard, and I'll tell you where lies the genius of her music. I'll start with the Varnam playing. Varnam to her was not a warm-up exercise. It was full of details, nuances, and that is why in our school, that is the Rangaramanuja style of school of music, we don't begin by teaching the Varnam, because Varnam is more difficult than the simple compositions that are taught to children. So we approach a Varnam a little later, and you will listen to the Begada Varnam and you will see how many details go into each line. Let's listen to 2 lines from the Anupallavi. Now we turn to the way she rendered kritis. Kritis, they were no different. For instance, it is traditional that every line in Carnatic music is repeated twice. But in a chamber music concert, mere repetition, mechanical repetition might result in boredom and the sagging of interest of the listener. So what she would do, that I gather from the recordings, is that the second time she may play the line, there would be a minor variation in the line. So the third time she played, it will be slightly different again, once again, so that the audience has to be on their toes listening to her playing. Then we turn to her alapanais. Her alapanais are full of wit and wisdom. That is, she would play the unexpected phrase at the unexpected moment, and it was full of surprises. That's what makes it so fresh even today. Listen to the Begada that she renders. Now we turn to the Tanam, the famous Ganaraga Tanam of Venadhanammal. The beauty here lies in, once again, in unexpected phrases, unexpected combination of phrases, and the quicksilver change in ragas. Generally, normally people stop and then change to another raga, but here in her case, it would be a smooth shift from one raga to another. That was her stamp. Then we turn to Padams and Javalis. Here again, I must point out the Padams and Javalis are not as slowly rendered in slow pace as it is in vocal music or music meant for dance. Remember, hers was a chamber music instrument without any augmentation. The sound was not enhanced and her playing was very soft. So she could not afford to play in very slow tempo. The tempo was slightly quicker. Even her padams, the two padams that she has rendered for the RPM records, reflect this. And her Javali, of course, they were sparkling. It's unfortunate I have lost one of the Javalis, the Sarasamulade Dentuku, which we lost in our recording. We don't have it in our recording. Venadhanammal's music, what I gather from the records and the stories, fables that go around her, is that it was a form of meditation. It was a form of prayer which which did not seek applause, which did not tolerate response. It was a direct communication between the musician and the Almighty. This is the core of her music which appeals to me, and I want to propagate this. I want to pass it on to the younger generation. This technique and the style, what she stood for, is something that we should not lose. It's too precious to be lost.
That was her song, for she was the maker. Then we, as we beheld her striding there alone, knew that there never was a world for her except the one she sang and singing made.
From childhood, I've been listening to this music, and it's a model that I can never faithfully capture. I can only take 5%, 10% from what she was. The 78 RPM itself is a small, narrow reflection of her genius. And with the narrow reflection, what I picked up was just a small percentage of her technique and her style. It's the uniqueness of the style that, in fact, makes me impatient with all other styles. I can listen only to her again and again. I thought of making this documentary to pass on this tradition, this legacy to the younger generation. They could learn about the left-hand technique of this great lady, and not only the technique, also the style, what she stood for. It was such a subtle style, and it was never exaggerated. All the emotions were kept under check, and it was charming and witty. This style does not prevail in the modern days. Now we are used to hyperbole, people talking in exaggerated terms, in great passion, whereas here was controlled classicism at its best. This is why I want to propagate the details of her music and her genius. This is a Javali that Dharmapuri Subbarayar composed on her. The raga, the phrases there, everything is unusual, and it makes us stand out as unique in this world. This is my obeisance to the genius of Venudanammal. If you bring a small spoon to the ocean, how much can you take with you? And we are all small spoons compared to Veena Dalamma.